All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're talking about the New York Giants in tonight's video because they have the third overall pick in this year's class. And I keep seeing really bad mock trades or mock trade draft trades, I should say, where the Giants just come away at the end of the day with a guy like Geno Smith. And I don't really have any vendetta against Geno Smith. I think he would be a huge level up for the Giants team. But my point is, for me, with the Giants, has nothing to do with any veteran QB, Sam Darnold, Aaron Rodgers, Matthew Stafford, Geno Smith. I'm not interested in them. And I get it, Brian Dable and your GM, kind of the clock's ticking, but I think Shedeur Sanders is the dude. I really don't even think it's close. I think he fits the market perfectly. I think he fits the culture. I think he fits everything about the New York Giants. And I'm going to New York tomorrow, so I figured, why not make a Giants video? And I just think Shedeur's the dude. This is a team that was second to dead last in offense last year. They haven't had a consistent, reliable quarterback. I don't think this is rude, but Eli Manning, it's just been way too long. And so 3-14 record. In November, the Giants ended up releasing quarterback Danny Dime Jones, and it just sucks because they cycled through a couple of quarterbacks. Jones, Tommy DeVito, Drew Lock. The club recorded the fewest passing touchdowns and also had the fifth fewest yards in the National Football League. It wasn't even honestly just the quarterback situation. The right tackle room's not looking good. The Giants also had the worst red zone percentage in touchdowns. Graham Gano or Greg Joseph, a little bit of both. They were near the bottom of the league in field goal percentage. It just wasn't a good year for the New York Giants. And I watched way too much Giants football this past season because I had a really bad fantasy team, but I ended up drafting Malik Neighbors, so I was watching way too much Giants games, and it just always found a way to piss me off. Unfortunately, in, week 17, they beat the Indianapolis Colts. Otherwise, we'd be having a much different conversation. The worst thing possible for the Giants, as far as I'm concerned, is Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders going one, and then whichever one didn't get picked up going number two. But I've talked to a couple of Cleveland Brown fans that I know, and they're not all necessarily on board with taking a QB at pick number two. Deshaun Watson, obviously the quarterback situation in Cleveland's a mess. I think when you don't have a QB, Giants included, you need to make bold decisions. You need to make big time moves. And I think Shedeur Sanders literally is just the perfect quarterback for this franchise. But no matter what they do, they could take Travis Hunter at pick number 3. They could trade down a couple of picks, get a little bit of a haul. It doesn't matter. Abdul Carter, either of these quarterbacks, doesn't matter in this sense. The future's still very bright. I know that sounds kind of crazy to say if you're not a Giants fan, but they had a really good draft class this past season, at least in my opinion. Malik Neighbors, who I already mentioned, he finished second amongst first-year players in catches at 109 and receiving yards at 1,282. Also, Tyrone Tracy Jr. had over 1,100 yards from scrimmage. He also had a combined 6 touchdowns. Your safety, Tyler Newman. If you don't know who this guy is, you're going to know about him in a couple of years at absolute minimum. He had 13 total starts this past year, and he did a great job. He almost had 100 total tackles. Your tight end, Theo Johnson, we saw plenty of glimpses from him. At the end of the season, ultimately 29 catches for 331 yards and a touchdown. But let's just talk about this team as a whole. $47.8 million in cap space. It is not great. It certainly is not bad, but it's not, necessarily like a Tennessee or a Las Vegas or a Patriot number because they still need their quarterback. So the biggest positional needs would be the quarterback, number one, interior offensive line, another right tackle or a right tackle also would work for me. And then the cornerback room and honestly just the defensive back room, all the quarterbacks included, just did not perform. I want to talk about a couple of things I saw on Bleacher Report. According to them, your top trade assets are 2 offensive tackles on the right side, Evan Neal and Jermaine Illuminor. And I get it because Neal's really struggled since he was selected in the 2022 NFL draft. And I'm just kind of at that point in time where it's time to cut loose. or at least maybe not necessarily cut loose. It's time to just go in a different direction because that right side, that right tackle position, it needs to be upgraded, especially if you're getting a rookie QB. But no matter it's Danny Dimes, Tommy DeVito, Drew Lock, Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward, Geno Smith, it doesn't matter who your quarterback is if you can't protect him. When we look at the team in general, just too many sacks given up and really bad rushing attack, really bad passing attack. I guess they actually kind of held turnovers in check, but they were third to dead last in yards per play at 4.7. And that's just everything's got to change, man. You need a quarterback and you need a right tackle. But that number 3 overall draft pick could be traded. I want to give you an example of an article I was reading because I don't like this at all. And so if you're thinking about trading the number 3 overall draft pick, take this with a grain of salt because this is just some random writer on Bleacher Report giving you a hypothetical trade. The title of it was Hypothetical Trade We'd Love to See. The way I see it is Hypothetical Trade We'd Not Love to See. And here's what it includes. Offensive lineman Jermaine Illuminor, the number 3 overall pick, and a 2025 5th round pick, which would be number 155 overall for Geno Smith, the 18th pick in this year's draft class, and the 82nd third round pick in this year's class. I think that's terrible. So I just want to give you kind of a glimpse into what other people think the number 3 overall draft pick is worth. It is worth Jack Diddley squat, according to this dude. I don't think that's going to be the case. But at the same time, I also don't think the Giants should trade. If Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders go 1 and 2, I'd still take Travis Hunter. I know he's had, or some random scout that came out, or a former Hall of Fame guy. I didn't read the article that said his technique needs to get better at wide receiver, mainly drafting him for his defensive back abilities. But just, you don't see athletes like Travis Hunter ever. So I just want to say, I understand if you don't get a quarterback in the first 2, or quarterbacks go in the first 2 picks, and you want to go with a guy like Travis Hunter or even Abdul. But the point is, I don't know. The whole Nick pick on either Cam Ward or Shedeur, whether it's pick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, it doesn't matter. Way too many people are saying they're not the same caliber as Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Drake May. We're still a couple of months from the draft, and I truly believe that's going to change. Now, the downside to drafting a quarterback at pick number 3 or wherever the Giants end up selecting based on trades is your GM and head coach. I'm kind of surprised they're both still there. They have at least, or at most, I should say, 1 more season. So that's what worries me as far as the Giants actually making a trade for Geno Smith, the Giants actually paying Sam Darnold a bunch of money, making a trade for Matthew Stafford. It's going to help you in the short term. But at the end of the day, you look at Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Drake May, Bo Nix, Bryce Young. When you get your franchise QB, it fixes so many other issues. So I want the Giants to go out there and try and draft Shedeur Sanders. Let me know what you guys think. But as always, hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content, and we'll see you soon. Peace.